Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first of our LVS perspectives. And today's topic is continuity of education. And I'm sorry about the delay, but as you can imagine, this is a new thing for me. I've never done this before. I had a technological little hitch where I had to rush back to the house and go and get a different device. And it's been a real learning curve, but I suppose that's what it's all about at the moment. But before we kick off on this topic, I just wanted to say that when I actually got to the house, my children said, "Mum, the first family of geese have arrived. The babies have been born. There's 8 of them. So, and I've done this, I'm going to go and see the new family." So that's some new, lovely news, new lives at LVS. So, on to the topic. So, welcome to this first live discussion. And I do hope you have some questions for me. So, as I start talking, please bring your questions forward. This is a great opportunity for us to have a chat in these unprecedented times. It's absolutely amazing. So our topic, continuity of education. I sent some notes earlier on the discussion earlier in the week. And basically, just to recap on those, I spoke about that children have a right to education. It's part of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child dictates this. And in the UK, every child has a right to 190 days education a year. Slightly less in the private sector because of how we do it, longer days, etc. So we're supposed to follow the Department of Education's advice for the curriculum, which we do. And in private schools, we do have the freedom to be a bit more creative with that directive. But they say that our work and our curriculum should enable children to be creative and to work with others, to promote self-management, manage their own information, and think about things, be able to problem solve, and also to decision make. So therefore, you might have seen a point on my blurb that I sent earlier in the week that it's really disappointing that some of the teaching unions actually are making it very difficult for some schools at the moment, right now when our world is in crisis, our country's in crisis, and we're trying to provide a continuity of education for our children. They're saying that children shouldn't be online or be being taught for more than 2 to 3 hours a day, which actually contravenes Department of Education guidelines that children below the age of 8 should have no less than 3.5 hours a day, and children over the age of 8, 5 hours a day. Now, you can argue that this is unusual. We're online, we shouldn't be sitting in front of a screen, but actually we owe it to our children and we owe it to our parents to be as normal as we can during this time. The unions have no jurisdiction, so I would say call to unions, come on, help us out now, support us and support our teachers. We want to mark work, we want to grade work, and we want continuity for these poor little things who have been robbed of everyday education. And I do sympathise and I empathise with social mobility issues. It highlights that we are living in a Victorian society when it comes to education. Because if we were more technologically advanced, we probably wouldn't be experiencing the problems we're having right now across the country. And all children, remember, have a right to education, no matter what that looks like. The unions also say there's lots of things you can do outside of formal education, such as washing and cooking and things like that. But, especially with younger children, that takes a lot of parental input as well, which again goes against their own union advice that parents aren't teachers and aren't expected to be. It's a teacher's and a school's responsibility to provide continuity in education. So moving on, our ideas of continuity of education, well, we're trying to, and we have been looking at trying to bridge a gap or merge a traditional education versus technological modernity, because we do have to move out of this Victorian age. And as you know from my previous letters, we've been looking at Microsoft 365 and using devices so that children have a very creative expression of what they want to learn, and that their experience in school is the same as what they're experiencing at home. And I must admit, having working with teams since the lockdown, I've enjoyed the fact I can go from my office where I am right now, close my laptop, stick it under my arm, open it up in the kitchen, and I'm having the same experience there than I would be in the office. But no one saw this coming. So even though we were working towards creative education, looking at the 4 Cs, creativity, collaboration, communication, and critical thinking, we didn't realise that our work would actually provide this continuity in the event of a pandemic. I mean, who would have ever thought? We were lucky we were at the stage we were. In February, we had bought in 175 devices for staff. They were sat there. We were supposed to hand them out on the 20th of April and start with inset on the 4Cs. And suddenly we started watching from January. We were watching the what ifs. And when the tsunami of virus hit Europe and into the UK, we got the devices out in 3 days and online in 5 days. That's an amazing feat for our staff, our pupils, and our parents. Really well done. I mean, who could have ever thought we'd be where we are right now? And we have provided continuity for our children at a time when they need it. So our aim is we want to create as near as normal timetable and life for our children as possible, because the world is in chaos. And during this time, structure is really reassuring. And I know many people are really glad that their children are still up early, still getting washed, hopefully, cleaning their teeth, doing some exercise and being online during normal teaching time. It does help those parents also that have work issues. And I do sympathise with the parents of younger children that it's not easy. And as usual, as soon as I start talking, the lawnmower outside starts up. There's only 2 people on site. That's me and the man who's driving the lawnmower, so I apologise for any background noise. The children have been robbed of their rhythm of life. They have heard us talking about our own education. They have heard their grandparents tell about their education, and it hasn't changed much at all. But those poor little things, they've lost what it's like to be taking GCSEs, having their prom, taking their A-levels, the rite of passage to Reading Festival, and the Year 13 trip to Magaluf, which as a parent I'm probably actually quite pleased is not taking place this year, but I'm sure they'll catch up. Now, I really would like some questions coming forward. I've got 3 that came in by email earlier, but I'm just looking on the left-hand side, and I've got some comments, but I need some questions, guys. So while you're doing that, I'll fire on with question 1. Okay, number 1. Our plans for further lockdown. As you know, when in the interim, we sent out a programme for each of the year groups to show how we will continue in the summer term. Taking into consideration all the comments that we've received from pupils, parents and staff, we want to make sure that's flexible and that there is a range of activities for the summer term. So this will include some project work, which is obviously guided, but will embrace the 4 Cs of education and help children be independent and learn through topics that they're really interested in as well. We're also including some assessments and exams, because that's part of everyday life. That's part of our natural education. And it's only right that we hold ourselves account for our own learning, and that we can assess what's going on so that we can still write reports at the end of the year and have some kind of parents' evenings through live sessions. So I've just been looking at the comments, and the first question I have is, how are the geese doing? So that's great, Mrs. Lovenbury, I'm watching you there. They're fine, I haven't seen them yet. I'm going to go and check them out. We need to protect them from Mr. Fox. But I'm still not, I'm getting some lovely messages, but no questions. Come on, guys, come on. So the second one we had, the second question that I had come in yesterday was rumours about schools reopening. And this is quite incredible, actually, because the government haven't actually said anything, but there's a huge amount of discussion in the media. And in fact, ITV this morning were actually on the phone yesterday afternoon saying, what have you heard? Have you heard anything? What are your views on it? So I am really quite worried about it at the moment. I know it's very difficult when children are not in school, but we still don't know where this virus is going or how it may change. And we don't know that bringing people back together is the best thing at the moment. And there are some rumours that universities may not be back as normal in September. I've heard from a couple of professors in various universities to say there could be the possibility that learning may be online because of the fact they don't want to bring together large numbers of people into a university when this might not be over. So we need to be cautious. There's lots of talk at the moment, still waiting to see any kind of directive. It would be lovely to be back at the back end of this summer, to be back to enjoy our company, but we've got to be safe, and therefore we need to just keep going. We're in a terrible position of lockdown, and keep our chins up. So I'm still not getting any questions coming through. So I'm going to move on to question number 3 that came in yesterday. Come on, guys, I don't want to be Billy No Mates here. I'm talking to a screen in a very surreal situation. So give me some questions. Make sure I know you're out there. Come on. So the next one I had was about continuity of education for year 11 and 13. And obviously the government directives come out now that the results will be published as they would have been in a normal year. So the A-level results will come out on the 13th of August and the GCSEs the following week on the 20th. And we know that in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have to start putting final grades to the exam boards, which will be standardised and moderated for the summer. And we urge year 11 and 13, do not give up now. Come on, there's still time. People do improve. And regardless of what's going on in the press, I know through my own experience as a mum and as a teacher of 26 years that kids make amazing progress in those last 6 to 8 weeks. And you can demonstrate that. And it will help us with those final grades that we submit. And also think about it, self-esteem, confidence. You've got a long summer ahead of you. And as I just said, there's no trips to Magaluf going on right now. So you need to think about setting your own goals. We can provide activities too. And I was talking to the senior management team earlier in the week, and we're going to look at maybe starting to offer you the EPQ, some study skills, looking forward to going to university or to do your A-levels, or even start some A-level reading now, even if you're not intending to stay at LVS next summer. So I'm going to look through the questions at the moment, see what I've got. And there's a great one here. What can us parents realistically, practically do to support LVS Ascot and continuity of education for our children, given that parents are not teachers and we have our own business employment continuity to deal with too? That's an excellent question. And as I say, there's no textbook, there's no manual to say turn to page 175 and this is what you do in the event of a pandemic. So all we can do as teachers is to give tasks that children can work on independently as much as possible. And as I just said, if your children are older, that's a lot easier than having under 8s. I do understand that. And all I can say to you is, you've got our support. We are here for you and we're listening. And if we can help in any way, if we've got to adapt and change, then let us know. Contact us. I'm here. As I say, I'm in the office. I'm Billy No Mates. I've got nothing better to do but to keep going. So give me some work to do. I've got another good question here. So can you provide any video lessons? I know the unions are advising against this, but video tutor time for daughter's classes at another school have been really beneficial for her age. She's 10. Now, I've got no problems at all about video lessons. I do think they should be pre-planned, pre-recorded and then stored. I know some members of staff are quite nervous about that. But we have a staff meeting on Monday morning and I will raise those questions and see what we can come up for you, because I think that is a really, really excellent idea as well. I've just had a lovely one. Mrs. Bates, it's lovely to hear from you. Thank you for your message. Wish we were still able to take advantage of the teaching. I hope everything's all right in Devon and that you're all well and safe and happy. Okay, I'm looking for more questions here. Okay, we've got another one. When will the exams be? If we're still in lockdown, will they do them online or be email papers to complete and return? I think you're talking about the GCSE and the A-levels. Now, we still haven't received any further update because there was mention that exams could take place in September or the following year. Now, Ofqual have just opened a 2-week consultation for education specialists to come forward with their ideas about the grading and about what's happening. Now, from my own personal perspective, having a son in year 13, I would hate to think in a way that he doesn't get an opportunity to take his exams. And personally, I would prefer he waited a year and did it at the end of a year. He will think very differently. I don't think September is the right time to do them, because I think these kids, like athletes, have to gauge and work on their stamina and get to a certain peak. And to give them another 3 months when it could be summer and they need to be getting out and going off to Magaluf, it's not the time to be introducing exams again in September. We've got to work on a way of making it easy for them. So I can't give any more advice on that, although I do know that my daughter, who's in her third year at Goldsmiths, is actually being set her exams online, and they'll be given so many days to do it. Again, it's not a particularly fair system, but how do they do it, and how do universities start preparing themselves for September? So I have one here, a question. How will you ensure with the exams that it is the child participation only? Really, really, really good question. Because we already know that, I'll be careful how we word this, but, sometimes we can tell when it's not the child's work. It's really, really obvious. So I would urge parents, don't get involved, because at the end of the day, it's your children's progress that you are hampering by interfering in their education, and it won't help them in the long run. It doesn't help to cheat, because you'll get caught out in the long run. So my advice is, we know when it's not a child's work. We're not daft, we've got too much experience, and we will be watching that really closely. Okay, so I've got another one here. How are the teachers ensuring that the kids are doing the work during the online lessons? As a parent, I'm not sure if the work is being completed. Really good question. So myself and the senior management team are copied into every team, and we dip in and out. And we have heard, especially in the last couple of days of the previous term, that we feel that people were not attending as much as what they should. So that's something that we're going to be looking at a little bit more closely. You did really well to raise that question. It's a really good question. And my advice is, children, that, you're supposed to be in school. It's against the law not to be in school to a certain extent. And we will be watching you and reporting back to your parents. And if your parents are picking up on it, then I urge parents to squeal on their children. Let me know and I'll dip into that lesson whenever you like. I've got them all on my screen, all 1,800 of them. So just tell me where I need to go. I've already popped into a few and left a few cracking comments, so I quite like that. A lovely one here from an old student. I'm an old student and graduated in 2002. How can we old students help? Really fabulous. Well done. Thank you so much. It's just before my time. I was here in 2003, so I never knew you. But that is a lovely, lovely suggestion. Maybe, could you email me, please? And we'll take this offline, because obviously we have safeguarding concerns, which we have to address. But it would be lovely to get in contact with old students, the alumni, and let's see what we can do, because I'm sure we could do some great projects together. And I'm really pleased you came forward. Thank you very, very much. So here we've got a sports question. If FA England allows football games to go ahead, are we going to start our games too? That is a really good one. That's thrown me a little one as well, because if the FA do, it'd be interesting to see actually how they do it. And I think, we always look for good examples. We're looking for good role models. So if they do, let's take a look at what they're doing, and let's see if we can be ahead of the game and do the best we can, like we always do, and get these kids back out playing sport, because come on, they should be outside. Now, let's have a look. I think I'm running out of questions. Okay, so another one is similar about assessment, is that how are you planning to go around assessing? Right, that's going to be different for every year. So, for example, with year 12, it'll be open book assessments. They won't be formal closed exams. And the assessments for different year groups will be done slightly differently. So what I'll do on Monday in our staff meeting is I'll say, could the heads of year make it very explicit to parents in that year group what our expectations are? Because we don't want to put any more stress on the children. We don't want to make them feel, anxious. It's not the right time to do that. But for normality, we need to do something, and I'll make sure you get more details next week. And I'm just scrolling up. I think we may be drying up on the questions here. So come on, any more? Okay, there's one here. For the future year 12s, wherever they may be continuing, could you put something together for them to start thinking about EPQs? Yeah, that's a really good one. We were talking about that earlier in the week. That's something we're going to get cracking on next week, because with the EPQ, independent project, the extended project qualification, you can actually, it's equivalent to A level. It is really fantastic for the children to learn about something they're interested in, and their own learning in their other subjects all ties into that as well. Another comment here: if we aren't planning celebration day or sports day, can we have an all-together school day to celebrate us getting back in September? Bracket, we love to party, you know who you are. So guess what? We've already got a date in the diary, and it looks like it's going to be Friday the 18th of September. We're just going to make sure that the governors can make it that day, and we're going to have a joint prize giving right across the school and one big party afterwards. It's going to be on a Friday afternoon. So you know what I'm like, my dancing shoes are ready, and I've had to dance out on the patio on my own again, Billy No Mates, but I cannot wait for us to get back together Friday the 18th September, big prize giving and a really big party. So hopefully that one answers your question. This one now. I have two sons, prospective students, international students for sixth form in September. What is the outlook on school reopening in September? Well, obviously, we don't know how the world's going to react to what's going on, but I have every optimism, every bit of my bone in me tells me we are back to normal in September. I can't see how we can't be. But again, we don't know how this virus is going to progress, so we just need to watch the international and the national picture. So another one here: is it true the results day will remain the same? Yes, they are. That was published a couple of days ago, that 13th for A levels of August and the 20th for GCSEs. And then it'll be interesting. Let's just see what happens then, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be too happy. Maybe there might be a lot of appeals going on, but we're ready to stand up and support any child that feels they haven't done what they could have done. Loving it. There's comments coming in about the 18th of September. Lots of people putting it in their diary already. Next one: my son is in year 10. He takes food tech and BTEC sport. Both require practicals. Will there be considerations made for years 10 leading into their second year of GCSE? Yes, absolutely. 100%, because the focus has been on the year 11 and 13, and I do really feel for year 10 and 12. Don't think you're forgotten, because you're not. It's just that with all this sudden upset, which we didn't see that exams would be cancelled. We've had to put our thinking caps on and get our heads around that one. But year 10 and 12, we will make sure you are not disadvantaged. And in fact, the government will have to take into consideration the disruption this has had for you in this time as well. So you've got our support. I'm sure the government will be with you, and we will do everything we can, even if we have to work extra hours. You know what our staff are like. You're not going to be disadvantaged, so don't worry, we're here for you. Okay, having a quick look through now. Come on, more questions. Okay, there's a good one here. Hi, one of the joys of virtual learning is that parents have been able to listen in. We will keep out of getting too involved in this live arena, but it has been noticeable where those who's really quiet in the class online are not being involved, and Seymour should be speaking up. Can you raise with teachers to please try and involve all kids in the classroom? Brilliant question. Really well done, because you can't see the class. As a teacher, when someone's being quiet in the corner or naughty in the front or eating something in the middle of the class, but you can't see online. And I think that's a really good observation, something I'll bring up in the staff meeting to make sure that individual children are not targeted but asked questions, and make sure that everybody is taking part. I really like that question. Thank you very, very much. Here we go. Okay, I've dipped into a couple of lessons and a number of children are hijacking the lessons. That's really naughty. Again, thanks. I'll tell you what, this session is really beneficial for me. I was hoping it might help our parents out, but do you know what? I'm learning a lot. So yes, we will, because that's naughty. We're not having any of that. So what we'll do, again, if you've got particular lessons where you think it's happening, I think that might be in the junior school, let me know and I'll take a look. Okay, here we go. We've done that one. In the event that there can't be any gatherings next term, will you be providing some online get-togethers for the new students due to join in September, particularly the children transitioning from primary to secondary? Really good question. That's on my agenda for next week. Suddenly you think, oh my, there's a whole new community starting our school, and we need to reach out to them, to say, yeah, we're still here and we're up and running, and the grass is being cut and the geese are being born and everything's being kept really lovely for you for when you start LVS. And yes, next term we do need to do something. I'm going to get onto the head of Year 7 and the team next week, and we'll start thinking about what we can do. And that will be socials. That will be maybe some get-togethers and getting to know the children and answering some puzzles. And maybe I can walk around with my webcam and show the school as well. We will make sure that those children, again, are not disadvantaged. I feel that I can now. The Year 11 and Year 13 seem to be getting sorted. I feel a huge, huge sense of relief, amazingly sense of relief. And it's now feeling that we can be creative and we can start moving forward and supporting all our children as much as we can. I think, I've learned so much from this period of time, and I really don't think things are ever going to be the same again, but I think they will be for the better. Why are there still assessments for Year 13 when the grades have to be decided on work up to the 20th of March? The work doesn't have to be decided on the work up to the 20th of March. There's nothing to say that. It does say that you don't have to set any more formal assessments, but it doesn't say you don't have to either. And it's because with the social mobility issues, there are children who are disadvantaged. They cannot access things online. They have schools where they are not setting work. Those children are left high and dry. And so therefore it's only fair that children should be able to, that they make some kind of ruling there. But they too will have a huge case for appeal. Now it says appeals are only on technical things, but number one, kids make huge progress, boys especially. If you were to look at mock results and final results, the mock results do not represent the majority of children's ability. I've seen that with my own kids. So there's that uncertainty there. Then you've got to, on top of all of this, and especially those who pull it out the bag at the last minute, that nothing has any data to say how a pandemic would affect those children. So from my point of view as a head teacher, we are building evidence to show that we prove and we make progress. We've got 3 years of historical data to say this is what happens between X and Y. And come the results days, come those grades, I will prove to the exam boards what we at LVS Ascot do and let them try and prove otherwise. And therefore, sorry, I got a bit passionate there. If we can show the work that's still being done, the commitment, the passion, the enthusiasm, and the eagerness to learn and improve, then we've got a good case in the event that any child feels that they need to appeal. That's why we're continuing to go. And we're continuing to go because we want to know that at the end of the day, when we get those grades, we've worked for them. We've worked hard. It's self-esteem and confidence. If children have peaked, if children are up at the AA star, there's very little room to go there. And we're starting to have these conversations with parents about moving on and doing other things in the summer term. So if you are a parent of Year 11 and you think your child has got to where they need to be, and there's not going to be much to gain in the next bit, it's not a 3-line whip. But we'd like to have a personal conversation with you to make sure that we as a school have done everything for you. Okay, another one here. They're coming in thick and fast now. I'm really enjoying this. My marketing department said half an hour, but marketing department, you don't mind, I'll keep going, do you? So I understand that the one-to-one sessions are not going ahead, which I think is a shame, as my son got a lot out of them last term. Yeah, it is a huge, real shame. But there's a number of pressures that we have here. Some of the pressures are that in some areas, we feel that you can't get the same quality of input that you would if you were in the classroom. And that's not across the board. There's different guidelines for that. I've been criticised by our Perry music teachers, for example, for not continuing online, because a lot of schools are continuing online. Now, everyone will have their own opinion, but I'm a musician and I know what it takes to teach a music lesson. And I do not agree with online lessons. No. Children, if they want to go on YouTube and find out how to play particular tunes and how to keep their practice up and to send videos to their teachers, yeah, fine. But you can't teach. And I can't charge you for those lessons. How can we do that? It's not the same experience, but we are trying all we can to make sure children are supported. We're trying to make sure the activity is there that all children can access. I do see how difficult it is for you, but we had to make that decision. There's also safeguarding implications as well, that we've actually been advised by safeguarding boards and in the inspectorate that we have to be careful where there are one-to-one conversations going on. And in the very few cases where we've had to make an exception, we have to have another teacher listening into that class as well. So there are a number of considerations. It wasn't a decision taken lightly, and we're always here to support you. How can I contact the teacher during the class if I see my child is not logged into the class being held at the time? So if your child is not logged into the class being at that time, so if it's a case that your child doesn't be included in the team, what I would suggest you do is, if you could email me, because I'm the constant here, because I'm always here, email me and say, look, in this class in geography at 2:00 on a Thursday afternoon, I don't think my child's involved in it. I can check the team. I can go into that team myself and find out what's going on, and I can contact the teacher during that time as well. So please do email me. I am watching the screen all the time, and I can intervene. So if you have anything like that, let me know. I have a child currently in year 8 and another child due to start in year 7 in September. What will the plans be for transition days? So we've had a little chat about transition. This is on topic of conversation for the team and the staff next week. And I think we need to make even more effort. I mean, I'm going to miss the socials that we have, the days when the children come to school. I'm going to really miss that. But do you know what? We all like a challenge. If you've got any ideas what would be really good activities for them, let us know. And we'll think and we'll come up with a really dynamic program for them, because they deserve it. You know, we're here for them. We're not going anywhere. And we got one here. We are really missing team sports. Could the sports teacher run some clubs on Zoom? A rugby session or a football session with Mr. Clayton, Miss Kelly and Mr. Sivia. Berkshire Bulldogs are doing these sorts of things, setting really specific challenges. And I'm just scrolling down for the team. I think that's a really good idea. So what I'll do is I'll bring that forward, because Zoom is a fantastic resource. Again, I learned how to do that with the WOW group last week. Plug the WOW group here if you want to join. Contact the Armilla U. We'll have a meeting on the 22nd of April by Zoom, and we will have a glass of wine, which is really nice too. So we socialise. But yes, there's no reason why we couldn't do that. That's a really, really good suggestion. So thank you. That's brilliant. Another one here. Hello. Do all the homework need to be marked by teachers? Well, we're trying to mark and keep as much consistency going if we want to, but there's nothing to say that parents can't help with that if they want to, or bring forward your any considerations you have about marking. Oh, the questions are really coming in now. The screen keeps moving, and I'm glad I've got my glasses on. Here we go. Another one here. Okay, they're all brilliant questions here. I think we may have come to the end. I can't see any more coming in. All right, here we go. How can I keep my year 11 son motivated for the online assessments if they won't influence the final results? Well, how do you know they won't? Because we gave interim grades in March with best possible grade right now, but we just talked about progress. Now, if it's genuine progress, which we will know if it's genuine or not, bearing in mind, especially boys, okay, because I can see it's your son there, we have that evidence, and we will put in final grades in on not before May 29th. That's a long way. That's, virtually 2 months away. So, I would say keep going. Motivate. It should be self-motivation to do the best they possibly can. So, but we don't want to push them too fast. So, or make them that anxious. So please, contact us if you've got any concern, and we can take that one offline. Okay, we've got some lovely comments about this is really useful, and can we come back and do some more of this? And we will be coming back. So I'm just going to round off here now, and I'm going to say, do you know what? I've really enjoyed this, guys. It's lovely to have contact with you, because I miss you. I'm not going to get emotional now, but next Friday, our next topic is exams and the impact of COVID-19. So until then, we are here for you. Contact us with any ideas you have, and I look forward to seeing you next Friday. at 12 o'clock, and it will be 12 o'clock because I've worked out the technology now, and I might even have a picture of those geese for you as well. So I've got to find out how to save this video for the marketing department. So you might see me hanging around looking really odd, but until then, bye. See you next week.